The weather is brought to you in part by the Water and Sewerage Authority. Water, use what you need.
You've heard me talking about the water levels dropping in many of the reservoirs, especially for Navat as well as in Hollis, but there's more dryness set to come as you go through late February and into March. Now, March is typically the driest month of the year for Trinidad and also in parts of Tobago, and they will likely see the drought conditions beginning to worsen as you go through the next few months. Bearing in mind that the lack of rainfall means that there's a meteorological drought warning. We could be seeing that meteorological drought becoming activated by the time we get to March, so we'll see what happens then. But right now the forecast basically calls for very little in terms of rainfall, maybe just a brief shower, but again it's a low chance of that happening as you go through Thursday morning and into the afternoon. But there will be the breeze pushing through Scarborough and eventually reaching Buku as well. For Trinidad, a mostly clear night, clear, cool conditions expected, especially in those sheltered valleys. You could be seeing quite a bit of a chill first thing in the morning, but once we get into mid-morning into the afternoon, just occasional clouds, the low chance of a shower may be creeping by, but again, that will be a rare occurrence as you go through the next few hours, especially towards the lunchtime and into the middle of your afternoon. And then for Moruga into Guaraguaria as well, a lot of sunshine expected, and all of that sunshine continues for San Fernando and Point Fortin. So tonight's low, 21 degrees Celsius, maybe a touch cooler in those sheltered valleys such as Maracas and around Lopino. And we're looking at highs of 32 degrees Celsius in Trinidad, 31 in the Tobago. Now through Friday and Saturday, not much is set to change. We're still keeping conditions windy on Friday and then a bit less so as you get towards Saturday and Sunday. And for Trinidad, the eastern areas will remain quite breezy, but again, temperatures about 32 degrees Celsius by day and around 23 degrees Celsius by night. Now heading offshore, that breeze will continue to whip the waves further out in the Atlantic. There is a northerly swell well east of the island chain, but for us, we'll be noticing the east to northeasterly swells of 8 seconds and a moderate chop of 2 meters through the Caribbean and the Atlantic. But we could be seeing waves a bit higher than that by the time we get to late on Friday and going into Saturday. And obviously with the effects of the full moon, some of the tides will likely still be higher than normal, but you'll be losing that effect by late Thursday going into Friday. And there's only one low tide for you, and that's at 11:30 a.m. Now for the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, it's mostly settled. Also for Hispaniola, it's also quite dry, but it's also quite windy as well. You're noticing all of the wind that we have been seeing coming up from Colombia, eventually reaching to Jamaica and Port-au-Prince. So it will be quite windy for them as they go through their Thursday. You notice the flags rippling across Kingston, 32 degrees Celsius expected here as well as in Port-au-Prince. And partly sunny skies for the most part for the Leeward Islands, down to Dominica and St. Lucia. Also for Bridgetown, you notice a bit of a breeze here, and down towards the mainland for Georgetown, a little cloud around from time to time and highs of 31 degrees Celsius. But for us, breezy spells, but very low chance of showers. So that's your weather, and that's it from me.
The weather was brought to you in part by the Water and Sewerage Authority. Water, use what you need.